Hey, Grand Rising, good morning to you and also you. I am Stars Tina, and I am so grateful, so excited, and so honored to be here with you today. If you're watching this and it's your first time, welcome. I am a life and health coach, that person that's going to take you from good to great to amazing, and I am here to bring you that motivation. But we all know motivation doesn't last too long, right? After the motivation, I'm going to bring you the inspiration and then the transformation. Today, if you did not know, it is the celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. So we're going to have an amazing show. I have an amazing guest. So make sure you buckle your seatbelts. If you're watching this on the replays, just do me a favor right now, okay? Just type in the chat replays. Now, whenever I do this, I also stream on different platforms. So you may be watching me on YouTube. You may be watching me on Facebook or LinkedIn, but right now at 5 a.m., I am here. Grand Rising, good morning, breakfast with champions. Happy Monday to you and also you. As I said, I am Stars Tina, your life and health coach, that person that's going to take you from good to great to amazing. Now, today we are celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. I have an amazing guest. I'm so excited. When you come into this space, you're going to get so much motivation. Some of you are probably saying, wow, it's too early in the morning. No, it's not too early. Let me tell you guys, I don't know if it's just my body is naturally on autopilot, but 4 o'clock, ding, my body just naturally woke up. I was like, okay. And it's wild because I wanted to just talk about leaders really quick, because yesterday I was like, oh, I do not feel like going live. I do not feel like showing my face at 5 o'clock in the morning. But then my body just like naturally got up, right? And you have to realize that leaders are consistent. Leaders do things that sometimes they just don't feel like doing, right? And that's what you have to do in life if you want to succeed, if you want to achieve the goals, if you want to do different things. You got to do things you don't want to or feel like sometimes, right? So as I mentioned, we have my girl Bella Bell coming through to shine the light, but I do have a special video. But first, I want to say hello to the peeps in the clubhouse room because it's early. I see Burzum, I see Chima, I see Ashley, Don, my girl Bella Bell. Hello, good morning, mommy. I see Coach and I see Mary Lim, and Tafiq just walked in the room. So we all know it's a holiday. Some people are working, so they're just sleeping in late, which is okay. But what I need you to do, if you're awake right now, if you hear the sound of my voice, you can just click share and share it out somewhere, whether it's Facebook, whether it's a text message to somebody. Share this out in the room. Otherwise, we're going to show you a quick video. And if you're able to see it, great. If you're not able to see it, it's okay, because it's an amazing speech. And this morning, when I watched this and I listened to the speech, I was like, wow, the power of your voice, the power of your story is amazing. It can change not only your life, but the people's around you life. So Renee, can you please just show us that video and listen up, fams?
50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners, will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood? I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted. Every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day when all of God's children be able to sing with new meaning, my country tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring. From the mighty mountains of New York, let freedom ring. From the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania, let freedom ring. From the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado, let freedom ring. From the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring in windy capitals. When we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Thank you, Renee, for showing that. And in the chat, what I'd love for you to do right now is just share a word or two of what you felt when you heard that. Because feelings are so important to me. And this, I'm showing it on replays at 7:30. And if you're able to, I made a video behind that speech of pictures of my son and his life. And if you guys didn't know, I'm a coach, and in my coaching, I really focus on traumedies. And traumedy is when the energies of a trauma and a tragedy collide, life-changing experiences occur. everyone goes through a traumedy. It could be, there's no labeling it. There's no one is better or harder than the other because you don't know what someone's gone through, right? February 26th, next month, will mark 9 years that my biggest traumedy occurred, which was the murder of my 21-year-old son. And in this video, I put it there. And you kind of know when you're, I don't want to say healed, but healing is great, because when I used to see pictures of him or watch him, I would just automatically cry. And when I watched this video that I made, I was so stinking proud, right? I thought of 2 words when I watched this video: legacy and sacrifice, right? Dr. Martin Luther King, he has a legacy. He made a sacrifice for his life. Look at all the great things that came out of his life, right? My son, the same thing, legacy and sacrifice. So I'm going to look in the chat here to see if anyone's joined with commenting on what they felt. I don't see any comments here. Maybe you didn't feel anything. It's okay. I'm very empathetic. Like, I feel so much. So with that being said, I'm going to bring my girl, Bella. Bella, what do you hear? What do you feel when you hear that speech? Because I'm sure you've probably heard it 1,000 times in your life.
Absolutely. I want to say shalom to everyone who's listening to me, particularly the BWC. Legacy and pain, Stars Tina. Legacy and pain. Every time, and I don't know how many times I've seen it and heard it, because, you know, I don't know if you're familiar now, they're putting music, they're bringing videos, it's the whole AI thing going on. So now they're trying to modernize, which I think is great, right? The opportunity for MLK speeches. But for me, Stars Tina, very personal, pain and legacy. Back to you, girl.
Can you tell everyone who you are that does not know my girl, Bella Bell?
Well, you know, I can't assume that, right? So I want to say good morning, shalom to everyone. I am Bella, better known as B-E-L-A, and Bella stands for the 4 matriarch generations of my family, Stars Tina. Some people think Bella is my name. It's my business name. The B stands for Beatrice, my grandmother, believe it or not, Stars Tina. The E stands for Ernestine, who transitioned my mother when I came to Atlanta. We can talk more about that later when you invite me back. The L stands for Linda. That's my government name. That's the name I was born with. And the L stands for my legacy, Ashley, my only one and only daughter, who is a grown full woman, married and everything. She is a millennial, but she is always going to be my baby. Okay.
I love it.
About Bella. And I'm from Baltimore, so I hail from Baltimore, Stars Tina, but I've been living in Atlanta, Georgia. Can you believe it? 28 years this year. I don't know how I'm 45 and only been here 28 years. Let's do the math, but that's who I am. Back to you, girl.
I love it. So I had a thought this morning, Bella. Do you have a book yet? Have you written a book yet?
Oh, Stars Tina, thank you for asking me. I've been working on a book for 5 years.
So the reason why, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So I don't know if you know, God tends to put these downloads. Someone says it's the Holy Spirit. I thought they were downloads. But as I was walking downstairs to brush my teeth and everything this morning, I was like, Bella has lived a life. Right? When you get to be a certain age, you've lived a lot, you've learned a lot, you've heard a lot, right? And I'm like, I wonder if she has a book. And Bella, I realized that things just I want to say they naturally come to me, right? So I started as a fitness professional in the gyms, teaching classes. You know, fitness is my passion. That's my main foundation. There's a why behind everything, right? The reason why fitness is my main thing. My father passed away in his sleep from a massive heart attack at 49 years old, right? That's super young. It could have been prevented. High blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, like you name it, right? That's why fitness is so passionate to me. Now, I say that to say that's part of my story, but when it comes to stories and sharing your life, that's how I started. I got a brain freeze. I forgot where I was going. I started with fitness. COVID came, everything stopped, right? So I started doing classes virtually. Then I'm like, I have to expand. I have to grow. Think of a rubber band, right? If you have a rubber band, and I'm trying to find one here. I'm sure there is. I'm in a hair salon right now. So it's like all sorts of hair products around. Come on, here we go. So you have a rubber band, right? You have to stretch the rubber band. And when you stretch it, it's like your thoughts. You can never go back to those old thoughts once you've seen things and they've stretched, right? You have to stretch to grow. So during COVID, it's like, okay, Tina, it's time to stretch. It's time to grow. And that's where I started taking more courses. That's how I became a life and health coach. Now, as a coach, Bella, I started with just life and health. And then somehow business coaching dropped on my plate. And then speaker coaching dropped on my plate. It's just like they just came, right? And I realized any client that is invested in themselves, that I see potential, it just grows, right? I think of Dr. Dale. At the end of her training with me, I was like, girl, you can write a book. She wrote a book in less than 2 months. I say that to say, Bella, part of my program, I have incorporated writing a book, because sharing your story is therapy. It helps you. So I have added to my coaching program writing a book. And there's 3 different ways of how I do it. And you can text the word share my story if you want to join. The first level of sharing your story is in my anthology. As you all know, hold on a second. I wrote my book, No More Traumedy. This came out last year. This is a little bit of my story, which is the murder of my son. And then at the end, it shows you how to push through that pain, because everyone's gone through a traumedy, right? Traumedy, pain, trauma, tragedy together. So the problem in this book right here are people who have gone through some type of trauma. The solution, how to push through it, how to thrive, because no one wants to just survive in life, right? You want to thrive. God wants you to thrive. So I am creating this year an anthology. An anthology is one book with various stories. And I need 10 to 17 authors for my next book, and it's your story, right? Whatever your story is, it could be divorce, it could be losing your job, whatever. And these are short stories. So if you want to be a part of the anthology, you can text the word share my story. And Renee will put this in the chat for you to the phone number 732-656-8973. That's the first tier. If you like, you have a little story, but then you're like, girl, I got a story that's like no other. I got to share it. Well, that's where you can come into my group coaching program. I have a group coaching program of people that want to share their story. This is the first tier. We work as a group, working on our stories to produce them into your own personal book. So you have the group and you meet with me once a month. We have the structures. Why? Because we've already produced 3 books ourselves. And then you have that top tier for that person that says, Tina, girl, ain't nobody got time to be doing this and doing that. I need you to do it for me. That's the top tier. So sharing your story is so important. And I would love to invite you, not to the anthology. You too much for the anthology. You need your own. You need your own, girl. And you said you've been working on it for 5 years, which means it's done. The only thing and a lot of people have this, right? They've been writing and writing. They have pages of journals and this and that. Mm-hmm. And you have it. You just need, okay, what's next? Great example, Bella. When I did this book right here, I was finished. And you have to have a certain amount of pages in the book to get your name on the spine. And when we finished it, it wasn't that many words. Renee was like, Tina, you need about 20, 30 more pages to get your name on the spine. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I don't know what else to write. You want to hear what I did, girlfriend? You know, I talk a lot on YouTube, right? I went to my YouTube videos. They got this AI thing where you can clip, cut, put it over to chat. And it took my own words out of my videos and transcribed them. And I just copy, pasted, change it around and threw it in a book. It's my words, right? Because I thought I could. My point, it is so easy to write a book. So again, if you're interested, text share my story to 732-656-8973. Bella, give me your thoughts, comments, and are you joining? Are you sharing your story? Talk to us, girl.
Well, first of all, I don't want to over talk you, but I want to jump into the screen. I'm in because you know what? I have 16 journals over a 10-year period. And I was trying to find that software that somebody was telling me you can like take the pages, it'll type it for you. You know what I'm saying? The AI thing. But what I'm saying to you, I'm in. Because I have been telling stories for all my life in Stars Tina. I kid you not. It wasn't until BWC, Glenn Lundy, Stars Tina, and I can go on and on. Shirlene Wilson, cheap shout outs that I'm like, you know what? Everybody has a book. So Stars Tina, count me in. Please count me in.
I love it. Let me tell you. And you know what? I can guarantee you, Shirlene, Glenn, myself, we didn't plan on writing a book. I didn't want to write a book. Dr. Fred, my coach, he was the one who said, Tina, you need to write a book. I'm like, for what? I don't want to write a book. I'm not a writer. I love to read. He's like, you have a story. And Bella, if I would have had the knowledge in this book 9 years ago, my life would be so different, right? I probably would still be married or wouldn't have never gotten married, right? The relationship with my daughter would be different, with my friends, with my family, because no one teaches you how to grieve. And grief is so large. All right, guys, we do have a topic for you today. So grab your pens and paper. All right. I brought Bella in because she's the expert. And the title for today's topic, if you guys did not know, we are talking about Dr. MLK, right? And the first thing we're talking about is the power of your voice, lessons from Dr. King. So if you didn't know, Dr. King's legacy is a testament to the power of using your voice to inspire change. His speeches and writings moved millions and continue to impact generations. Bella, can you tell us how you feel about that, and also the family, because I understand that you've met them, you're connected with them. If you can share that with this point as well.
Yeah, first of all, I wanted to ask everyone, BWC, and for the recording who's listening, when do you recall your first introduction to MLK? Now, we did this on BWC, not BWC, another house that I support, the House of Creativity. Shout out. So, Sarstina, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to go ahead on. When was the time and the first time, if you can remember your age and where you were at?
Girl, I have no idea, but you want to hear something crazy? I used to always think he looked like my dad. I was like, my dad. I don't remember. I remember the TV movies. I loved watching the movies because for some reason, those type of movies, I love watching them. I can't remember when or where I was when
I can remember. I was 7 years old, and I remember my mother giving me a book. And fast forward, do you remember going to elementary school? Well, back in the day, for me, it was junior high. And you know how you get Black History Month, the month of February, and it was always MLK, Madam C.J. Walker, and sometimes Nat Turner. And I'm like, okay, what in the world? I've done about 1,000 essays on MLK, but I was 7 years old. And I still remember that, Starstina. I'm a little bit older than you, but I do remember the day he was shot. The whole entire family was glued to the TV set.
Really?
So.
Did you feel, what was Carla, I think I want to bring you up in a second because Carla lives in North Carolina, and we're going to, I kind of go off screen sometimes. If you're okay with that, Carla, give me a thumbs up if you're okay with coming on screen. Bella, was it an eerie feeling? What did it feel like when that happened?
Actually, I was so small, but what I remember it was a serious situation. My entire family, and I have a large family, right? We were all glued around a TV set, and we actually watched it on TV. But the feeling was, to me, sadness, as they were also looting. Now, I'm coming from Baltimore, Maryland, inner city, right? No, I do not have the poverty-stricken. I came up in a working class family. Let me tell you something. I remember my mother telling me, Linda, get a piece of black cloth my grandmother gave me and put it outside the door. Guess why, Starstina?
Why?
Because people were looting when MLK died, and the black cloth, if you put it outside your door, represented that you were a Black family and your house wasn't going to get taken, burnt down, or looted. I still remember that. What about you, Carla?
Carla's from North Carolina. That's why I wanted to bring her up, because I know different areas. You got to unmic yourself, Carla, different areas of the world. And as you're saying this, I don't even remember in school. I went to school in South Carolina when I was younger. I don't even remember being, this coming up. But Carla, share your thoughts.
Yes, I remember Dr. Martin Luther King when I think it was like second or third grade, we would have like Black History Month, and we would talk about him, and we would celebrate his life and what it meant for all of us. And at first, when I heard it, and I still hear it today when I hear his voice, it's like, oh my gosh, like, this is how far we've come. I know we have more to go, but this is how far we've come. And it's just amazing just to hear his voice, just strong. It inspires me to go strong, even back to my ancestors. I know a little bit about my ancestor, about my great-great-great-grandpa, and just knowing what they went through, it just brings me to tears.
Love it. Thank
I
you
throw
so
it back
much.
to you.
Thank you for sharing, Carla. So we're going to move on to tip number 2. But before we move on to tip number 2, I just want to say how important it is to share your story, right? It can inspire, motivate, or educate others. And the key point I want you to take away from this, people, your story has the power to create ripples of change in someone's life, just like Dr. King's words still move us today. So the tip number 2 that I want to share with you today, turning pain into purpose, writing the chapters of your life. So Dr. King faced incredible adversity, yet he transformed the pain of injustice into a purpose-driven mission for equality. Bella, thoughts, comments?
You know what? As I was listening to Carl and listening to you and just the millions of people across the globe, now right now, Stars Tina, it's probably 9 point something billion people on the face of this earth. A lot of people have not even heard of Martin Luther King. And as I was thinking about his death, I was also thinking about the march, right? You know, the march in 1965. And I was thinking about a story I want to tell very quickly. Mahalia Jackson, for those who don't know, the spiritual mom. I call her the Negro spiritual, right? Queen. Do you know it was Mahalia Jackson who unctioned Martin Luther King on the day of the march on Washington? He was not going to do the I Have a Dream speech.
You said she did what?
A lot of people don't know Mahalia Jackson, who was a spiritual gospel singer during that time, who also funded the movement. We could talk about that too. She unctioned him and shouted out in the crowd for him to say the I Have a Dream speech. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was not even going to use that speech on that day.
Do you know how it came about, that speech, Bella?
I don't know how he came about crafting the speech, and I want to be honest because I am under the thumb and the authority of Ambassador Andrew Young for truth, right? And authenticity. He didn't always write his full speeches. He had a team. But
of course, everyone's got a team.
But I Have a Dream speech is the point I'm making, Star Tina. He wasn't even going to talk about that particular speech on that day. It was Mahalia Jackson who shouted, literally, she was standing 500 feet, I was told, behind him and said, "Hey, Martin, do the I Have a Dream speech." Thus, the rest is history. It's out there. Google it. It's out there.
I love it. I love it. So the key point for that, everyone, Dr. King taught us that purpose grows out of pain. Your story could be the light someone else needs to find their own path. That's why it's important. But remember, guys, when you do share your story, I don't want to hear, "Oh my gosh, this happened to me, that happened to me." But no. You want to shout it from the mountaintops, all the great things that happened in your life, then share your trauma and then bring it up, because no one wants to be in that little mucka of like sadness. Third tip, here we go. Legacy in words, sharing stories that last beyond a lifetime. Dr. King's speeches, letters, and books ensure his legacy lives on. His words are not just history, they are a guide for future generations. Bella.
Listen, you just said it in a nutshell. That's what legacy is, right? People think, "Oh, I'm going to die. Am I going to leave a legacy or not?" No, a legacy is your story. It's simply sharing your story, telling your story. And you know what? We need to stop letting people not qualify, because, Stars Tina, let me tell you something. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. You might not be audible on public forum, but you're having a legacy. And that's exactly what Martin Luther King is left behind. And I want to say one more thing. I know we're down to about 2 to 3 minutes. You know, when I was talking to Dr. Reverend Bernice King a couple of months ago, she said something very poignant. I'm going to put it out there. You know what she said, Stars Tina? She said, "I really would appreciate people really do their research and understand what my father's legacy is. Because sometimes, Stars Tina, if you don't know your legacy, if you don't know your history, you won't get it right."
Exactly.
You won't get it right. So what I'm saying to everybody is, as we wrap up and close out, Stars Tina, everybody has a story, whether it's her story, his story, history, it is a story. Every day that we're up, it's a story. What are you leaving behind? That's my question to you, Stars Tina.
I love it. I love it. And that's why I do what I do, right? To live, to push on my son's legacy and then for myself. The 3 points we made today, if you're just tapping in, I am Stars Tina, this is Bella, and we're talking about the power of your voice, lessons from Dr. King. That was point 1. Number 2, turning your pain into purpose, writing the chapters of your life. And number 3, legacy in words, sharing stories that last beyond a lifetime. Bella, can you give us your outro? Tell us where people can find you and all that wonderful stuff.
Absolutely. I want to thank you again, Stars Tina, for having me on your platform. You guys want to reach out to Bella, just, Instagram me, hit me up on Instagram. And if I would appreciate if they want to go out to the YouTube, Bella Unplugged. That's Bella Unplugged. Stars Tina, back to you. Let's keep this party going, girlfriend, because I'm just getting started.
Yes, just getting, you feel this energy, right, guys? This is that 5 a.m. energy. Can you imagine us later on in the day? Now, 8, 9 o'clock, we out. But in the morning, we got that energy. I am Tina, as she mentioned, otherwise known as Stars Tina, life and health coach. Not only a coach, but coach with the mostest that does it all. Coach, speaker, and author. So excited to be here. It's all about sharing your story. And I think that's just going to be the theme this year, right? Mindful. I'm being mindful of everything I'm doing, all the places that I'm putting myself, the people I'm surrounding myself with. And I think when Bella, you said legacy, it's how you show up in life. Right? When you wake up in the morning, are you proud of what you're doing? Would you put it on the front of the newspaper? That's what someone said to me. If you're going to post something, are you proud of that? If you're going to wear something, because we all have a story, like you said. And I'm Tina. I'm here every morning at 5 a.m. We have our morning show on the socials. Monday, Wednesday, I've got my Trauma No More for Kids show. Friday is our Wrap It Up show, and Bella's got her shows coming, so I can't wait for Bella's show. With that being said, thank you all for rolling with us this morning. We are out. Peace and a bottle of hair grease. Bye.
Peace out.